had to show this one. This one is not someone I get to see often. And I'm a little bit of a fanboy because in the beta especially, it was my most played Civ. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. Sit in your seats. Make sure you hit the subscribe afterwards. And make sure you make your way through to additional videos because there's plenty more where this came from. But this one's a special one. This is something we don't get to feature that often on this channel because it feels like if there's one person experimenting with HRE in the game, that's cool. There's not often two people experimenting with HRE in the game, but that's what we're getting here. Here on Hillendale. Hillendale, a map that is actually very good for the HRE because you're able to box yourself in and tech boom up. So I'm excited to see how this one is going to go because I'll warn you now, this isn't late game. I'm not going to give specifics. I don't want to spoil it for people watching the stream. But this game isn't going to be like a 30-minute plus someone got Imperial Age and went boom boom type game. This is going to be a rush type game. And this should be interesting because these are two high-level players. Chart is a name that people probably notice. He has featured on the channel once before as Risky Dice. He's moved back to his normal name. For those that aren't familiar, Chart is a Japanese Age of Empires 2 player, considered to be one of the best players from that country, in fact. Mega, I haven't come across before. Mega 3774 for reference is 142nd on the leaderboards right now. 288 games played. Words are hard, guys. And I don't think that's a Smurf, but no profile picture, nothing, just on Xbox. I think it's just an avid game player who's actually pretty good at gaming. But for reference, his opponent here, Chart did just crack the top 100, which is why I noticed and thought it'd be cool to come back to him, as it has been a while since we've seen him. Chart is sitting in 81st place right now, 1,703 on the lead, ELO ring on those leaderboards. So 227 games played, 57% win rate. And this is because I think he has been playing a lot of AoE 2, so he hasn't been hardcore grinding AoE 4. Opening-wise, though, let's see if there are any haphazard mistakes. It looks like both people got their prelate out, thank God. I ripped my hair out, as we know, when I watch someone not get a prelate at the start. It looks like there's more people in the gold vein for Mega. Mega might be overcharging the gold front here. It might put Mega slightly behind on the tech up, in fact. You can see the numbers are already good for Chart. Chart, with 3 people, you'll get enough gold here. The food might still lag slightly behind. And it looks like he's going to move the prelate across. Not necessary, but it does give you additional surplus for once you're teched up, right? To get you quicker towards a Regnitz Cathedral and that juicy castle age that every HRE player wants to have when they grow up. It's kind of the feeling of HRE right now. You know, that kind of like the memes like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I want to be like Daddy. And then you look across at Daddy, and Daddy's a Langsneck, and everyone's like, no, don't be him. Right now, actually, I think the more impressive players I've been saying of the HRE is them going into more their standard normie type units like archers and knights, and they just get to amass a quality and quantity clump quicker than their opponent, courtesy of their superior early game, mid-game economy. I think that's something a lot of HRE players have now started to learn, is that you're more than a one-trick pony. You're more than just a tech boom Civ. And if you utilize it in a different way, you're actually able to close out games much sooner and with quite an effective win rate, I'd say. So, kind of intrigued to see how this one is going to play out. Ark and Chapel, Chart is ahead. They're building the same amount. I'm wondering if any of these spawns favor someone more. I would say that actually Chart got a very, very good spawn here compared to his opponent. If you look at this, it's a bit more wonky. You're going to cover most of this tree line with the Ark and Chapel from Mega. He didn't have that many great choices. He could have actually forward Ark and Chapeled, but then he'd be potentially exposing his whole economy, right? So always keep in mind, when you drop an Ark and Chapel, there are players that want maximum value, and they'll try and put an Ark and Chapel far enough out that the circle is not hindered once all the resources are drained. This is bad. You have to accept that like a 5th, a 6th, or whatever it is of this is not going to be used for gathering now or later on when you go into like farmlands around it, because it needs to be close enough to the TC to protect it. And I think a lot of players, especially at the lower level, bait themselves. I know I've done this a lot when I first started playing in the alpha. I just dropped the Ark and Chapel further away. I was like, I want min-max value, baby. Later on, I'm going to surround this for farms. And I got away with it more often than I should, especially, obviously, in team games where you have more ground to cover. But against good players, if they scout that out, if they see you do that, they will punish it to the maximum because they understand that you don't have outposts in place. You don't have a static line of defenses. You rely on the TC heavily as the HRE in the first 10, 15-minute mark points. So you should always play as if you're about to be sieged, right? And that means that you need to keep your economy retracted, protected under the watch, the gazeful watch of your TC. And as a result of that, come back to the point why I think he got a better one here. He's got the gold line. He's got a lot of the tree line covered. A tree line back here might get somewhat clipped, but it's mainly about the primary and the gold. And the main thing is that it's playing towards a natural choke point already, so he'll be able to actually get farmers down here sooner, and also pro scouts. He'll play into pro scouts most likely. The berry bush is nice for Mega, but you don't really want to react going into berry bushes too quickly. You want to be sheep into, if you can get your hands on it, deer. Scouts moving out for Mega. Mega, did he actually go? Okay. Yeah, he's going for stable now. So it looks like they're both playing for pro scouts, I think. Is there? Yeah, there's a mill back here. So there you go. Pro scouts almost researched already for chart. And you can see Mega only just began. And this is the wonky part about the way he opened. Remember what I said, right? He was going to be slow on the tech up because he had more people in the gold. And I don't think he moved the prelate out at any point. Right? And I understand why. The difference is very small at like glance, but very big in the macro play of your economy. So the difference here was that chart, he started at the front with the sheep, gathered sheep on the corner. Notice he dragged them across here. Then he's moved across the gold line. His prelate was able to shift back and forth across a shorter distance. You can see how short this is, right? Half a screen. Meanwhile, for Mega, he has all of his carcasses at the front. His gold mine is at the back here. The only reason you see it is because it's obviously like lower terrain, upwards, perspective logic, right? If we were to have this side by side, in fact, I can do that for you. Look at the difference there. You see that difference, right? So half a screen for chart. So the chart was this distance to about where just before the gold mining camp, right? Whereas Mega had to send his prelate further to buff, which meant he had less efficiency in his economy. Because remember, every additional second the prelate is running is another second that he's not buffing. And then on top of that, he'd have to run back around the other side. The way Mega could have fixed this, and a lot of players just don't do this because a lot of players just don't feel comfortable doing this, right? They don't like switching the view. He should have actually waypointed the back of his TC, moved his villagers around here with a sheep, and then gathered here, and he would have had a condensed economy. It would have been stuck close together, where the prelate, until the Archon Chapel came out, would have been maximizing his efficiency. And that edge puts chart ahead, and is the reason that he's already collecting these carcasses before Mega is able to do so. Scout vision. How are we looking right now? No eyeballs actually on Mega's base at all. So chart doesn't even know he's ahead. And that's kind of the crazy. We know he's actually ahead. We can feel he's ahead. We just described exactly why he's ahead. But for him, he hasn't bothered to eyeball Mega's base at all. And I think that is a mistake. He's playing for the deer, right? As most scout players do. But the difference is that at an early point, chart could have easily went up into Mega's base. That's what Mega done differently. He actually eyeballed in and kind of got a read for where his opponent was at. And that gave him an edge. And now Mega also sneaking in for carcasses from his opponent's base. Something that chart won't be able to do, as Mega has already swept those up in his own. And I think Mega has, yeah, he's got 2 more. Chart, this is not how you play pro scouts. I'm not the biggest fan. He's got, what, 5 compared to, I think, 7 for Mega. So he's just being outmassed. You know you're in a race here. And Mega, he went for a second stable, and this isn't a bad play. He's going to be prepped, ready to rush out knights when he techs up. But keep in mind, we can already see the suboptimal nature of his prelate and also his like eco lines in the beginning, right? Chart is already teching up to Regnitz to go into castle. Meanwhile, Mega still doesn't have the food. Is now beginning, but is going to be behind his opponent. And the numbers are matched, so Chart is going to have half a minute advantage over his opponent. Nice snatch by chart, though. So Mega still gets some of these, not as many as he was hoping for. In the end, though, how many are you going to get? So he got the one outside his base. I think chart still gets the edge here, so all in all good. Second stable now going down. Interesting he waited this long. He did actually have the wood surplus to get it sooner, but delayed it. And this would have allowed him to get additional scouts out quicker. Maybe a little bit of a missed trick for him, but shouldn't hurt him too much. As I said, he'll have the edge on the Regnitz Cathedral. Now he needs to look towards these relics. The relic generation on this map is slightly in favor of chart, actually. So Mega, he's got a high stack over here, right? But this one's on chart side. And then chart already picking one up. His prelate was in position. So Mega moving out now. But like we said, has that disadvantage. It's going to be the scout army across to probably protect this. It can't be understated how big a deal it is, whoever gets more of the relics here. You're in a mirror-mirror matchup, and this is probably the most important point in the game for a mirror-mirror matchup with HRE, is who gets more relics. And chart, comfortably looking like he might be able to get 3, but Mega's not going to make it easy. He's leaving this one in the corner until last. And Knight's already coming out. Chart with the aggression. Is Mega matching it? Yeah, he's got his Knights coming out, but it's slower, right? He was slower in the tech up, so he's not able to field them as quickly. And in fact, if you're quick enough, Chart might even snipe out the Prelate. He sees him! He ran over the Sacred Site! Big mistake! And straight in and snipe down. He's just gone. And the Scouts can't protect you. They can't even avenge you. And if you engage here, the Knights are going to make mincemeat of you. So we'll back away. Wow, that's actually a big deal. Remember that these prelates aren't cheap at this stage in the game when your economy is stripped bare because you're trying to get the Brigance Cathedral full to give you gold trickle and also pushing out knights, right? So you're actually pretty barren on the gold front in a lot of cases. So every time you lose them, not only do you have to replace them for an extra 100 gold, they have to then run out, and then also you're spending 20 seconds of your time, you're spending one villager worth of your economy to build that prelate instead. So it's stunting your growth in multiple ways here. And if I'm Chart, I just snipe. I charge in. I genuinely just charge in and I kill the prelate. I don't even care about the knight. If I find the prelate again, Mega is going to be mega uncomfortable in this one. And look, I think that's the third relic already for Chart. Yeah. He's already got 2 banked, third on the way, and the knight number's already in Chart's favor. And this small difference, it's had such a ripple effect in this game. Charge in, tries to reach the prelate. Oh, he can't though. He's got reach on it now. Mega is panicking with this prelate. He's just hiding him in the corner, and he's outnumbered. It's 4 knights versus the 3. So the edge is not with Mega. Mega trying to give himself the edge by healing up one of these knights. But the Trika lane is just better. Chart has more troops now. And the prelate is gone. And Mega, I mean, have you got another prelate? He's running one back now. He can't afford to lose this relic. However, Chart, oh my god, he might see it. He's so close to getting vision on this. There it is. Chart, he'll just click right across. Straight in he goes. And he's got enough knights to kill you before you can wall a lot as well. And this is pure pain right now. Mega is going to lose another prelate. That is 3 dead to the knight spam. And he's actually going to call it. Mega just taps out. Chart with the small differences making up the miles here in the mirror HRE on Hillendale. Wow, that was actually really impressive out of Chart. Like I said, the small differences, the sub-optimization out of Mega with his early game economy, this is a really important lesson. I think this one's definitely gone up on the channel. I know it's short, and a lot of people are like, why? Why are we featuring this one? What's the point? It's because sometimes the biggest differences come from the smallest mistakes, right? And I'd like to talk about, at the highest level, quite a lot how the best player isn't the player who plays perfect, right? Because perfect's impossible. It's actually the player who makes the least mistakes. And I think Mega made a humongous mistake in his early game efficiency with the sheep location at the wrong side of the TC in relation to his gold vein. He should have identified that his gold vein was on the northern side of his TC and shifted his eco line there. You wouldn't lose efficiency as you move across, really, and instead you gain more at your prelate. And I think that gap closes because Chart has that extra 30 seconds because his economy is more efficient in the opening. It gives him that edge to, 1, get the first relic in before his opponent, and 2, he's able to start trickling out knights first. It gives him the edge to aggress you. And as we see, in that type of matchup, if you lose 3 prelates in a row, it doesn't even matter if you manage to eventually pick up that relic still. You're still now playing 2 versus 3 relics, and your opponent has a knight advantage and has banked 3 relics. And that's why he taps out. He understands. And I think that's often what happens. Either, when we watch mirror matchups, there's 2 ways these end. It's either, 1, they play very different styles, like very incredibly different styles. Like one's TC boomings, one's night rushing, this type of stuff, right? 2, it's almost always a small detail that decides it, right? It comes down to something so minute, like the resource drain on the map, and then one person gets on the center first, and they were both spamming horse archers for 40 minutes, or you get this situation where we've seen games, horse archer, perfect example, we've seen games Roost on Roost, where one player building mass hunting cabins and spamming out scouts gave him the win, right? These small differences that ripple into big things, that small, tiny change. And this is the most minuscule changes, just giving the biggest of benefits down the line. Because as we see in this mirror matchup between HRE, there is nothing more important than those relics. And that is exactly why Chart takes the win. It's exactly why Mega taps out. Because once you lose that third prelate, you're miles behind. And you're probably never catching up. And that's going to be the game, but that's only one of many games. If you want longer games, if you want ones that actually have more clashes, shall we say, more big clashes. If you like the explosions, you're a Michael Bay fan, don't worry, you've got you covered. There's plenty of videos on my side over there, and be sure to subscribe in the meantime, and I'll see you in the next one.